We are still in the new moon energy. So new moons are all about, what are you calling it? What are you creating in your world? What abundance for you are you working towards, walking towards? What movement are you making? I mean, I honestly have been making so much movement forward. And yet, just an interesting post today I just put out on my family and friends page on Facebook. The reason why I ended up putting those books between pages, and book 2 came out yesterday. And then later today it's Cheddar Day. And that has been a whole thing. I mean, I had mostly really beautiful interactions with the community, but there's always one asshole. And well, in my case, there's usually much more than one asshole. Yesterday, there were a lot of them. All men. Sometimes there's a few women. Mostly they're men of what I just call the Epstein class. And they're men who are still defending um, the complete uh, they're completely forgetting common human decency. My books are about common human decency. We can't rape people and not hold them accountable. If you want to have a discussion with me, you're going to lose that discussion. So people run or they don't say anything because they don't want to say anything to their neighbors. They don't want to stir the pot. This is not the time for that. And I'm not the person to tell you that I think that that is the way that we should have been handling this all along. I think we got here because we didn't talk to one another and people started dismissing each other out of their lives instead of trying to get to the common denominator in the problem. And this is literally what we're doing right now in this bear belt basket while we're examining what we're keeping and what we're letting go of. And it's not about Donald Trump. It's about where you have not been able to have conversations with characters like that in your own living room. You understand that, right? That's the reason why I wrote these books. And many of you who are on here have already been able to have those conversations in your living room because I've worked with you. But there are many people out there who have not. And then there are a fair amount of people that I know who actually just have decided to go silent about it. And although that's a personal choice, I don't think silence is the right thing when we're facing authoritarianism and fascism and we're watching brown people being stolen off streets and murdered. We're watching anybody who's trying to protect brown people potentially have the ability to be murdered with no accountability. I wasn't going to talk about this today, but I think I'm talking about we need to now have those discussions. We cannot have abundance for all if we explain away rape. We cannot have abundance for all if we explain away racism. And the last book that will be coming up here, No Kings, we cannot have abundance for all if we continue to allow the patriarchy to have tyranny over the land. And it's not one individual, it's an attitude that we allow from the heart of ourselves out. It's not really our heart that's doing it, but the core of ourselves out. Root chakra, sacral chakra, solar plexus chakra. I allow harm to be what I select to rule, or I don't care about anybody's harm, so I just don't get in the process, even though I came in as the human who dropped in here. I'm just going to choose to not identify with any of it. You're creating the world that you live in, all of it. Whatever is in your world as your human, your actions within that life create the quantum field around you. And so actions do matter. Oh, I am also like, okay, so the other day I was watching, so I'm just going to go all over the place today. The other day I was watching an interesting thing about a woman talking about crystalline DNA. She was talking about 12-stranded crystalline DNA. And it's all word salad to me, right? Like, because it's not something, well, there are people who are talking about it scientifically as well. But I am not a scientist. So my word salad is not to work with the people who are necessarily in that realm. But also, there's just a lot of different definitions for every single thing that we experience on the planet. It's why I think we need to let go of how much we overreact to language. When someone says something and our conditioning makes us trigger to it, we need to look at that and ask, well, is this person saying something that's standing up for something loving? Or is this person saying something that I feel guilty about, so I get mad? It's time to make love's the only thing strong enough to live in this world, the lens. That is abundance. If you have that, you can do anything. That is your soul essence ignited within your human experience. It's abundance. Now, this Kundalini thing that she was talking about, what she was explaining, I have experienced several years ago already. I was in the hospital with what I know now was a Kundalini awakening, and it lasted for a long time. It lasted for a couple months, but the intensity of it landed me in the hospital for a few days. The beginning of 20 2019, I believe. I don't think it was 2020. It was probably it was the beginning of 2019. It was January. It was, I think the first time I went was right after Christmas. Anyway, I was doing these dance moves. It's funny because I teach Shakti, right? And it was like 6 different dance moves. Somewhere I have a video of it, and you guys you wouldn't even believe. My body has transformed so much. So these dance moves, they would happen spontaneously to me. So I remember going to Bullhead City while I had that, and Mom was just fascinated by it and also worried. She thought I had Huntington's, and that's fatal. So she was convinced for quite a while that what I had was Huntington's, and it was not. It is not. And it wasn't what they were trying to call it, which they had really no idea what it was. What it was a Kundalini awakening, and it was dance moves. And of course, those different dance moves were moving the Kundalini strands open. And so, the reason why I believe I've been able to work through and channel all the things I have at that time, things just started to blow open for me. I just started to know more. And she talks about that. And I probably started really channeling um, in a way where I was like recording the channelings. I have a bunch of them on my phone. I haven't done anything with, but they're real easy these days to translate and put into something. Probably 2022. What I'm saying about that is you may have had a major medical thing happen to you that had something to do with a Kundalini awakening. And more people, I believe, are probably going to be accessing those and having those happen. And they can be very, very scary. And so, one thing I want to just remind all the people who've worked with me, all the students that have worked with me, been through the Spark or been through anything like that before, just remember to talk to your guidance team through those things, and go to the doctor if you're scared. Um, if it's not anything, it'll be a Kundalini awakening, and you'll know it then because they won't have any idea what you had, and you won't die. It'll just have been uncomfortable. So if you are afraid while you're going through them, just don't feel like you need to suffer through everything. Peace of mind can also be important there. There was some reasons I needed to get that out to the general public. So again, in the middle of abundance for all, really, it's not that it doesn't have anything to do with abundance. It's just something that I wanted to reflect on because I don't think I do talk to people about that, but I don't think I've talked to like everybody on something like a live before about what Kundalini awakenings are. And they really are very long processes. It's the reason why the lightning program is a 24 months program, and we work through one strand at a time. But these are people who have had Kundalini awakenings. We are not awakening Kundalini here. I want to be clear on that. They're activations, sort of. They are practice that people do to help make the abilities that you receive from a Kundalini awakening fully accessible to you and make it a beautiful process. And what we're trying to understand is what happens somatically to your body when you actually allow that in slowly through practice. And learn to listen to what your energetic body is telling you. So that's a graduate program for anyone who wants to come. I just filled another spot in that program. I'm only taking 10 people at a time. So I think there's 3 spots left in the Crystalline DNA program. Tons of spots left in the Spark program right now, but I do feel that there are some people coming into that. So I will probably um, yeah, well, Kundalini awakenings may be happening around you. So please, they can look like all kinds of different things. They can really look like big mental breaks. And then people who don't understand what they are can stay in those mental breaks for a very long time. And that's where you need support from multiple angles in some cases there, from a like a mental health professional therapist to help with what I call brain leeches. And yeah, and then energy healers like myself or people that you resonate with. So people are going to be needing that support. Yesterday I went out speaking about abundance. It was 95 degrees, so that wasn't super abundant, but um the connections were abundant. And then what I could just psychically feel as like there's an air of division still around. And I just don't want that. Like, okay, so you voted something differently than me. Let's talk about why you did that. Let's talk about why we're why what our actual differences are. Let's talk about facts. Let's talk about what's happening in the world. Let's talk about whether or not you and I both want common human decency. Like, there are a group of people right now that just don't care about that sentence and what that actually means. Common human decency. They want to shut off everything and fight for their guy tooth and nail. And so some people in town do know who I am because I've been in business for a very long time. And it is the reason why I haven't joined some of the things like that are available up there anymore. I used to do some of those things and I just choose not to put money in that just because I need money. I'm not interested in feeding a narrative that isn't looking for common human decency as a denominator in the world that we're creating. We live here. So if you're propagating in my living room a system of harm because you won't look at rape culture or racism or tyranny and do something about that. And it's hard as a business person right now. It's hard as a just human being, you know. I mean, I put that third book out, and yes, I haven't done any of my marketing. And yes, I wrote them because I know there's a market out there for them, but I wrote them for here too. And I've only sold 3 copies of Rape is My Reason so far. And I had sold 4, so that was weird. Something happened there. Um, and then, yeah, not enough time for somebody to return it. So something must have gone through on somebody. And then, of course, I just put up Operation Metro Surge yesterday. Now, there's going to be a market for those in Minneapolis, and there's going to be a market for the No Kings book in Washington, D.C. and Manhattan. And there's going to be a place where people want me in the discussion, and there are places where I want to be in the discussion, but I mostly want to be in the discussion with my own friends and family. To be able to create abundance is our birthright. We have to have that where we live. And so it has been a challenge for me because um, most folks are not willing to interact with it. So, um, again, in my own um, community, and it is because we are so divided. And so, in order to be able to do business here, a lot of people are doing that. But that is silence is deadly at this point when we are facing what we're facing. So, it is just part of the learning that we're walking through right now. And again, I believe everything is energy. I believe that every single thing we do, like words are spells. And when we're doing things like love's the only thing strong enough to live in this world, and we're negotiating what is needing to go in order to create that world, there are a whole lot of things within us, myself included, that I do have to let go of. And that is why Kundalini awakenings take so long. So, um, and one other thing, I've been following this gal. She's on the Substack, and I found her early on when I first started the Substack because she was saying some really interesting things, and I didn't disagree with her, but yet I hadn't heard it's there's a lot of different streams of what ends up being the same consciousness through different awarenesses because of our own energy. I would call it your blueprint. Um, but yesterday I mean, she's doing a thing right now. She's like, I don't know, she's in South Carolina or something. And yesterday, she was calling out people who she was saying bad things about, like witch talk witches, and she was she was basically making fun of um a lot of the metaphysical practices that people do, and she was doing it with a real sense of seriousness, just like I'm doing with the authoritarian stuff that we're living through. She was doing it with this science, being like, we need to figure this stuff out now, because if everybody doesn't do it my way, well, and then she was talking about magic, and then she was like, well, I do know that there are people who practice the magic that are really helpful, or not helpful. They have a different understanding that isn't separate, and I'd like to understand what they're doing and link it together. But she's so brash about it that she sort of makes, like, I had some things to say to her. The thing is, like, even the word magic is word salad. She was sort of vilifying the use of the word magic, and at the same time she was describing how we are frequency and magnetic, and they're the same kind of things I talk about. And that we have these um geometries around us that form, and it's science, yes, it's science, but it's also magic, and science keeps expanding. So the universe keeps expanding, and so regardless of whether or not they, meaning the Pentagon or whatever it is, that it's a conspiracy theory thing. But the thing is, we are living through the biggest actual conspiracy theory that we, once it's unraveled, will probably just look at that and say, how in the world, literally world, did that just happen to all of us? And then trying to pick up the pieces for probably all of humanity here. Like, it's a shit show out there that those world leaders are just, ooh, the collective losing of the mind, the collective of losing your morality completely. I don't even know how it happens that we have gotten ourselves to a place where we've selected leadership that is so tyrannical it belongs with Henry VIII in the 14th century. I've done a lot of studying of Henry VIII. He's a very interesting character, extraordinarily influential to religion. He may have been the first thing that actually is the reason why religion is wobbling so much and will continue to, in my estimation, just because of the information that we have at our disposal. And this whole thing about whose word salad is right. Can you call something magic? Well, the word magic in and of itself is, are there things that end up being inexplainable, or can we even explain how the universe continues to expand? I am not a scientist. I am not going to be the one who tells you how that works. But I don't think that she and I are necessarily talking about something that's that different. And that's kind of what I wanted to try to say to everybody today is, watch your word salad. Sit with your responses for a while, let them move somatically through your body before you make any decisions, because your body, when it hears something that generally pisses you off, whether you're on one side of the coin or a different side of the coin, the side of the coin we need to get to is one where death and decay is the shadow side, because it happens here, and love is the other side. And we don't create more systems of harm in order to make death and decay happen faster for anyone. Abundance is our birthright. So Well, maybe somebody will hear this little coffee chat with me. Maybe you won't. Um, when we do these things, always for us. I hope you're ready to have some discussions in your living room soon about, if you're not already doing that, wear your purple. Purple is also the color of sovereignty, but wear your purple. Be willing to talk to people about what's going on and challenge people when they are ignorant of the facts. So we can create our community where we live here in Zimmerman, Minnesota, or wherever you live, that creates a world that has joy in it more often than not. Got nothing to do with money, but support your local businesses, support small. Give a rock instead of an Amazon box. It almost rhymes. Okay. Uh, Day 12, abundance for all.